All right, so Joe Biden just finished up one of his first meetings with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and in the process, after their meeting and the things that they discussed happened, he did a press conference with a bunch of reporters, and in this press conference, he said something that was probably the single most ridiculous and stupid thing that I've ever heard come out of the mouth of Joe Biden, which is saying a lot, given that he has a decades-long, extensive record in the Senate of saying some pretty terrible, horrific, and stupid things, but this is just takes the cake. It's significantly worse than anything I've ever heard, maybe even from any U.S. president, because it basically is just completely ignoring the entirety of U.S. history, and he's basically trying to dig at Vladimir Putin in this clip for meddling in the U.S. elections in 2016, 2020, which is, you could say a fair criticism because, yes, he is doing that, but coming from a U.S. president, given our history and involvement in imperialism around the world, this is just amazing that he would actually say something like this publicly without any irony in his voice. So let's go ahead and hear what he had to say.
His credibility worldwide shrinks. Let's get this straight. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries and everybody knew it? What would it be like if we engaged in activities that he is engaged in? It diminishes the standing of a country that is desperately trying to make sure it maintains its standing as a major world power. And so it's not just what I do. It's what the actions that other countries take, in this case Russia, that are contrary to international norms. It's the price they pay. They are not able to dictate what happens in the world. There are other nations of significant consequence, i.e. the United States of America being one of them.
Hell yeah, baby. Let America step in. The U.S. empire is on the way. Vladimir Putin, you can take a step back. Stop meddling in all these people's elections. We know how to do it best, okay? We will be spreading freedom and democracy around the world, so you don't need to be coming in here and trying to meddle in all of these other countries' elections. We know how to do it best. In fact, we've been doing it more than every other country in history combined. I mean, there is literally, without exaggeration, ever been a country that could be even in the same sentence or remotely comparable to the damage and the destruction that has been caused by U.S. imperialism. So not only is Joe Biden wrong and delusional in what he's saying here, but he is as wrong and delusional as you could possibly be. So here's just a little list here, okay, from William Blum on U.S. involvement. So instances of the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since the Second World War. And listen, we could list off the countries here: China, Albania, East Germany, Iran, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Syria, Egypt, Indonesia, British Guiana, Iraq, North Vietnam, Cambodia. We could just go down the entire list. But listen, if you listen to my videos and you watch my videos regularly, we talk about this all the time, the history of U.S. imperialism. This is nothing surprising. The list is virtually endless, okay? There's barely any country you could point to. If you threw a dart on a map, there's barely any country that it could land on that we have not had a foothold in meddling in their elections or meddling in their governments in some way, shape, or form. This is kind of our specialty. This is kind of what we do. It's kind of how we became the U.S. empire that we are today. We install dictators where it's helpful to our multinational corporations. We expropriate their resources and exploit their labor, and that's how we get our big time money, right? That's how we get our big time bucks, and became the United States empire that we are today. So again, not only is Joe Biden wrong in what he was just saying, that the United States is somehow above this, and how, oh, I couldn't even imagine a world in which the rest of the world looked at the United States as this sort of meddling, violent force. That is literally how the rest of the world looks at us. It's just that you are a delusional person if you believe that we are somehow above all of these other things, and that Vladimir Putin is the only one who is meddling in elections and doing these things. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's laughable. I mean, it's really the only comparison I could think of. It's as ridiculous as like Jeffrey Dahmer coming forward and saying, well, could you imagine a world in which people thought that I was some sort of a cannibalistic murderer? It's like, yeah, I can imagine that world, because that's literally the world that we are living in. In fact, not only is that not unreasonable, but that's like kind of what you're known for, right? I mean, this is what the United States is known for to the rest of the world. It just so happens that Americans are uneducated about this, aren't aware of the history of this, and so it doesn't really become part of the mainstream discourse. But nonetheless, it is factual and it is true. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is literally just history. The United States has done far more damage than Russia or China or literally any other government throughout human history could possibly imagine by, again, destabilizing democracies, installing dictators to serve our interests, funding far-right death squads, etc. We've done the whole thing. This is our game. This is our specialty. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's laughable. But again, we have modern examples of this that are happening right now that Joe Biden is facilitating himself. Look at Venezuela. We are still trying to overthrow the government of Venezuela. Look at Bolivia, where through the Organization of American States, the United States helped to inspire and facilitate a fascist insurrection, a coup of their government. These are things that are happening right now in real time that Joe Biden is continuing. So to pretend as if this history doesn't exist is one thing, and it's ridiculous to do that, but it's even more ridiculous given that he is literally doing the same shit right now. You're going to tell me you're not meddling in other countries' elections, and then you want to go look at what happened in Bolivia? Of course you are. You're doing it right fucking now. In fact, we're probably meddling in Russia's elections, okay? We do this shit all the time, all around the world. This is what the U.S. empire basically exists to do. So it's just amazing that he would come out here and unironically say this. Again, this is saying a lot given his history of everything that he said throughout his career, but this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen Joe Biden say.